Welcome to the Furlough Capital Real Estate Podcast, where we dive into the intricacies of passive real estate investing. And our mission is to equip people to invest wisely in both properties and residences so that together we can build wealth while improving housing. I'm James, and this is my wife, Jessi.
Hey, I have been having these conversations with people recently about cleaning, and I had another one today, and it just struck me that there has been a distinct difference between like surface level cleaning and deep cleaning.
Okay.
But the line in which that changes over, I am realizing is very different for certain people. And so it's like,
Tell me more.
well, to me, like deep cleaning means, like let's say it was deep cleaning a closet. It means everything's coming out of the closet. You're vacuuming, you're washing things, you're like maybe putting in new organizational type structures to reset it. And then like before you put the stuff in, you're going through the stuff, and like throwing stuff out, making sure that's clean, putting it where it belongs. Like it's a whole process. And versus like just opening the door and like actually vacuuming the closet, which to some people was like, well, I never vacuum in there anyways. So that is deep cleaning. Which is like, wait, what? No, it's not.
Weird definition. Yeah, I agree with you.
Or like, like deep cleaning being like the things you don't typically get to, like washing windows. I'm like, okay.
No.
Washing windows, just like wiping the window, that's surface level. A deep clean would be like, I'm power washing the outside, I'm cleaning the screen, I'm like scrubbing the seal. So then what do you call it
if it is like, hey, I don't normally clean this, but...
At surface level cleaning, I don't usually do.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I might be more like, I have regular things that I clean, and then there's more
intermittent things that I clean.
Yeah.
But
which is a deeper clean of the entire
of
what
the
you
entire
typically
space.
do of the entire space. It's a deeper clean.
For me, the clean.
Yeah, what makes something
surface
a deep
and deep
clean
is just
really
like
weird thing to debate. Go ahead.
It is strange. It just struck me because the person I was talking with is like has roommates, and it was like finding that right balance of like, okay, to me this is dirty, and the other person's like, no, it's not, and it's like, oh, okay, well, how clean do you need to clean the thing to have it be clean, And like, here's another example. Like for me, the sink, if you rinse it out, that's surface level. If you take the scrubby and you put soap on it and you like scrub everything, and you take the little strainer out and you scrub that off and you scrub inside the drain, and then you spray it all down, that's a deep clean.
Okay.
Which you don't do every single time, but it's also cleaner than just spraying down the stuff.
Okay.
So maybe it's like the intensity of which or like,
the intensity?
I don't know. Not the intensity. It's like maybe.
You've thought about 1,000 times more about this than I have.
I absolutely have.
I'm like, cool. Clean the windows, don't clean the windows. I don't care.
I know.
But dang,
it's all right.
You're passionate about this.
Well, it's come up in conversation like 5 different times over the past few days. And so I'm just like, wow, all right, cleaning is a thing.
It's interesting. Yeah,
I've been self-evaluating.
I don't have those kind of randomly come up types of conversations.
I did have a great, like, this person I was talking with, her and I love vacuum cleaners. And it was like, oh yeah, like that's my go-to. If something just needs to be cleaned, like I'll just that's the quick fix.
Okay.
It's like, I can run that over any floor. I can take the wand out. I can do a corner. I can do the windowsill. I can do under stuff. Like the vacuum. That's the thing. I was like, yeah, I even vacuum furniture. And my kids think that's weird. And I'm like, that's a normal thing. Like there's crumbs and there's hair and there's things on it. Like you got to clean it. But you're like, I don't think you have ever once like vacuumed our couch, but like I regularly vacuum our couch.
I'm trying to think. Well, you said like you just grab it as opposed to, I don't know.
Well, as opposed to like, I'm going to vacuum the carpets, but then I'm going to like sweep in the kitchen.
And you're saying instead of vacuuming in the kitchen?
Right. Yeah, instead I would just grab the vacuum and just vacuum all the floors, or like dusting.
Okay.
Like instead of grabbing the duster and going around and dusting everything, I just grab the vacuum, I do the floors, I do the corners, I do everything.
Okay.
So it's like a multi-use kind of tool. Although I have been known to suck up things I'm not supposed to. when I use it for
That's the
testing.
thing. That's the thing too. Yeah, I don't ever see myself starting up a cleaning company. That's
not your passion.
Probably not going to happen.
Not what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's all right.
No, it's all good. I have no idea how to transition out of this. Man, so that's cleaning rant with Jessi.
There we go.
If you have cleaning comments or thoughts on cleaning.
I wonder if there's a cleaning podcast.
Oh, 100%. There's a cleaning podcast. That's got to be a thing.
All right, yeah. Well, there's like YouTube videos of people cleaning things, which are highly satisfying.
Right. And that's
different.
Maybe it's not a podcast just because it seems like that's a visual type of thing. But more video based as opposed to podcast.
Talking about cleaning.
Let's see, what would you talk about? You talk about vacuum cleaners, rating them, talking about how they're good, they're bad, then talking about techniques.
It is.
I feel like
it's like
a very visual thing, though. That's like a review thing. That's not a podcast.
Yeah,
review,
a tool review would be different.
I bet you there's cleaners out there who have a podcast. Dude, I don't know.
I'm probably going to
search.
search.
Let
Anyways,
us know if
side
you
note.
listen to podcast stuff. Oh, man. Cool.
So anyways, what we're actually
the
talking
thumbs
about
down in the thumbnail was my reaction to Jessi talking about cleaning. That's what that represented, not the topic you thought.
Yeah, that's kind of accurate.
Oh, my word. Cleaning. Cool.
I've been known to use old toothbrushes to clean things. I can get intense sometimes.
Okay.
Okay.
Fun.
Yes.
Yeah. So our actual topic has absolutely nothing to do with cleaning. So if you hung around this long, congratulations. Good job. Appreciate it to get through that crazy topic. No. All right. So what I'm going to talk about is, I'm not going to let you pull me down the rabbit hole, is I got an interesting phone call from somebody. They went through to my website, and so the way it works is you go to furlough.com, and on there you can set up a call to talk to me just to learn more about my investment thesis, what I think is important, and then I can learn more about you and what your goals, aspirations are, what you're looking to invest.
Makes sense.
Got a meeting like that coming up tomorrow. It's exciting, but I had one earlier as well. And it was, got it from this person. I was like, sweet, cool. Didn't know who she was. It was fine. And we hop on the phone, and I always like to just confirm, hey.
But you knew where it came from, like through the website.
Yeah, it came through the website. Yeah, she scheduled a meeting with me.
Okay.
Is what happened.
Cool.
So I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
It's a phone call.
Yep.
And we hop on the phone, and I'm just like, hey, just double checking. Now's a good time. And she goes, good time for what?
To talk?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm assuming to talk about investing. I don't know.
That's so awkward.
I'm confused now.
What an awkward start.
And she goes, oh, yes. I know you thought I might have been calling to invest, but that is not why at all. She goes, I am calling you to warn you about a property manager. Do not work with him. He is horrible. Do not do it. I was like, oh, okay.
Yikes.
And so she had seen on a website somewhere that I had mentioned this guy as a property manager that we were considering using for an investment. And she had a horrible experience. She's a board member in Otter Rock, Oregon. So this is like northwest Oregon area.
Okay.
And he was their property manager for their HOA. Mm-hmm. And he defrauded them out of $75,000. Yikes. Yeah, not great. And apparently that organization is not the only one that he has caused a problem with.
That's not good.
And so she, for obvious reasons, is very upset about it. Right. They did get reimbursed for most of it through insurance, but just still not great.
Yeah.
And so she is making it a point to go around to warn people about this guy.
So awful.
Because this is what he does. He essentially sets up a shell company, says he's a property manager, tells you all the things that you want to hear, and then gets your contract, starts taking funds on your behalf, and then may or not pay you out. And maybe he starts to do it. He claims he has a big staff, and he doesn't. To the point where he'll be like, yeah, I'm going to email all these people. And then through her sleuthing, she'll figure out like, oh, it's all him. It's just different emails. He's pretending to be different people.
Gosh. That level of deception, it's like...
Oh, yeah. It's kind of huge.
Seems like it is a lot of effort.
So,
I mean, I guess...
if you're getting
the
that
payout.
kind of money.
Well, okay. So how is he able to do this over and over again? Like, didn't they know who he is? Didn't they?
So here's the fascinating
arrest
thing.
him, or?
Well, so here's what's interesting. It's in North Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
and so he has a bank in Washington, and he does business in Oregon, and so it's crossing state lines. So it's not just a state issue. Technically, it's an FBI type of issue.
My word.
And he's just small fry, small potato, and he keeps moving around different companies and starting those up, shutting them down,
So
whatever,
annoying.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just takes a while to track it down. And
And at least
prosecute
initially, a couple years ago, like none of this stuff was online. And so we're like, as she's sleuthing and learning, she's slowly putting stuff together.
wow.
And so she saw for us when we were looking at investing in Astoria, he was the person that we were looking into. By the way, I talked to a broker friend of mine who actually helped with that Astoria deal. I was like, hey man, have you heard of this guy? I'm trying to decide if I'm going to say his name or not. I haven't decided. I was like, have you heard of him? And he goes, oh yeah, stay away from him. He's bad. I was like, dang. Okay. Good to know. And he goes, yeah, he's actively managing a property that they're trying to sell. And it's like a Pizza Hut or something. And he's like, oh, it's just horrible. And he's like, yeah, he's trouble. I was like, all right, good to know. So I shared with her my experience because I was interviewing property managers as well for this deal. He was one of a few. And I remember I took some notes, but my general takeaway from him when we talked on the phone, I was like, dude, it was awesome. Like, yeah, it was.
He said all the right things.
Oh, 100%. He was like, yeah, we got flat pricing. We've got good deals on maintenance stuff. Here's what we're going to do. Da, 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 da. Like he said all the things, checked all the boxes. Like it sounded great. Well, she said the HOA board interviewed him for an hour.
Wow.
And she's like, and he said great things. Now, it's funny. I remember the first time that we talked, it was a Zoom meeting. And he looked like he was just in like some ratty dorm room type of thing. And I was like, what the
Where
heck?
are you?
It was kind of like, this isn't super professional. That's weird. Huh. And then we had other phone call stuff. But like I said, it was a great conversation. And then something happened. Oh, I remember. I asked about recommendations. It's like, hey, do you have anyone who you're currently managing for that I could talk to? And he said no. He's like, it's a privacy thing, which I think is weird, but whatever. I've gotten that answer multiple times now, so it must be a thing. So I was like, okay, well, what about like contractors or service providers, someone else we could talk to? And he actually gave me a couple names. And so I called them and they were like, we've never heard of this guy or this company. I don't know what this is. And I was like, dang, it really sounded like he was like big, like managing. I think he said, like, what did he tell me? He told me he'd been doing it for more than half his life. They had 86 properties, 2,700 doors.
Oh, wow.
Like
that's pretty big.
That's pretty
People
big.
would know who he was
That was kind of
if he was that size.
That was my assumption.
Yeah.
And they'd never heard of him or that company. I was like, that's super
That's
weird.
weird.
So then I started looking into in Oregon, you can do an LLC search. And so I pulled up his company and the company was expired. I was like, that's weird. So then I went to the Oregon e-license thing to look up his property management license and couldn't find him in that either. I was like, also weird. And so I called him and was like, hey man, like, this is weird, right? And he goes, yeah, it was my business partner. He forgot to redo the thing. So we're getting it taken care of. And I was like, yeah, but it was like expired like 2 years ago. Like this isn't like you missed it by a month, like I kind of get a month, I guess.
Sure.
But it's just super weird. And I remember I also asked him about the property management software that he used, which was Tenant Cloud. And I actually had experience with that. And I was like, Tenant Cloud? I'm like, how could you like...
Why that one?
That's such a bad one.
Yeah.
And it was... And I think I caught him off guard because I don't think he was expecting me to know. And he was like, oh, well, we had customizations done with it because, we're big enough that we could do that. And I was like, all right. I guess I didn't know that. But I was like, man, you must have had some massive customizations done.
Right.
Because I do not think the way that they want me to think. And so he was... But anyways.
So many red flags.
But so it was one where I remember we talked about it and I was like, there's so many things that I like about him or I like about like what he's told me that I like. And I don't think I can use him. I was like, I can't go with him. And I was so bummed because I wanted to go with him, but I was like, I just can't.
Yeah.
And ultimately was, I just kept interviewing companies and I found another one that actually they were a big company in Portland, and then they had a satellite office here with like one guy. And so I was like, oh, this is great because I can have one guy. He's a local, he gets it, but he's backed by a bigger company.
Part of something bigger.
Great. And I was like, oh, that's so much better. Or I felt a lot more comfortable with that. And
that's wild that it came back.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
to be
it's been a little while.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, like just kind of nuts. Apparently, he defrauded another person $150,000.
Word.
And he's been reported to all sorts of people. I'm trying to think. Yeah. Another thing that he would do is they would like, we need a check. Because he wouldn't do a distribution. So he would send him a check, but not sign it.
Oh, my word.
Right?
It's so annoying.
And at first they were like, well, let's just sign it ourselves. And I was like, no, because the second you do that, he's going to sue you for fraud.
Right.
And it's like, he's just like baiting people. And like, oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. Just send it back and we'll get it signed and, send it back to you and just do those kind of delay
stringing
tactics.
people on.
And then just shut down the company, be done. He'd move on.
Wow.
That kind of thing. Just kind of wild.
That's crazy. It's crazy that he's still doing that.
So let me put it this way.
I kind of feel like you should,
Go ahead.
It sounds terrible to
I don't
give a
want him
negative
to
review,
come after me.
but it's kind of like if someone's looking for a property manager and they've got questions, like feel free to reach out and ask.
Yes, especially if it's Pacific Northwest,
right,
in Oregon.
Yeah.
And in the guy who sounds almost borderline too good to be true.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
And I'll share the name that way. Like I said, I don't really want this because we have to do transcripts and stuff to pop up and for him to sue me for defamation or
I don't know.
What's the one where you say bad stuff about people that's not true? But this is true.
This is true.
So, but yeah, just kind of crazy.
So
one of the things I wanted to share and not just be like, crazy story, how about that, is this is why it's important to do property manager interviews. And when I was looking for mine, by the way, I am a licensed property manager now, so problem solved. But at the time, I came up with 61 questions.
I remember. I was like, that's intense.
I've learned that you cannot ask all of them because probably they'll just get angry at you.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, this is overkill. Like, what is your problem, dude?
I even highlighted the ones I thought were important, and I've learned I gotta pick.
That's even too many.
Well, what I've learned is I gotta pick what are my 5 that are really important for a first conversation. And just be okay with that and do like a screening thing.
Yeah.
And then if that all sounds good, be like, sweet, let's get together again and let's just talk some more. And then I get another 5 to 10, depending on what they are. And then you can probably pull off and on each one, you got to give a little, right? Like, hey, this sounds really great. I would love to send you some more information about my property, what's going on, let you look at it, kind of come up with a game plan. Let's get back together and let's chat about it. And then you can do that. And then you say, hey, that sounds great. Send me over your property management agreement. I'd like to review that. And then you have an excuse to ask some more questions.
Yeah.
And you could do all sorts of regular stuff like you can ask how long they've been in business. You can also just look that up in the LLC registry. You can ask how many licensed people are on their team, which again, look that up. You can ask how many properties they manage and if they have a specialty. I think are good questions to ask. I've got a bunch of others. I think a really good one is to just ask about extra fees that they have. Like, are there advertising, evictions, tenant placement, late fees, lease renewal, on-site manager, leasing agent type of stuff, maintenance, which this guy, he was like, none of that, just flat fee. We do everything. And it was like 8% or something like that. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Because normally those are all additional things that are on top. And how often can you expect to talk with them? This was one where I always struggle because I want to meet like every other week. And most property managers are like, how about once a quarter?
Yeah.
And I get like, I'm an asset manager. And so I think about those kind of things. And what I want to do is I want to have like 2 meetings. One meeting, maybe at the end of the month, that's like, hey, financial reports, let's just go over them. Let's see if there's anything weird. Let's just talk about it. And then the other meeting is more like, hey, let's just talk operations. How are we doing on maintenance? What's coming up? What's moving out? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Which most owners, I think, are way more hands-off.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, just tell me if something wrong happens and keeping in the loop.
I ask about what property management software tools they use because I've researched all of them, and so I'm interested in that.
Sure.
I don't know if that changes my decision criteria, but it's like I just like to know what I'm jumping into, which 99% of the time the answer is going to be Appfolio, unless they're awesome like me and they use Store Loop because it's better, but whatever. I do want to know about their reporting process and what I can expect to receive from them. And if you can get a sample, that'd be great. I could ask about their occupancy vacancy rates across their portfolio. My experience has been they don't know the answer to that.
Really?
Or they're like, it's a roundabout number. We're pretty full. It's kind of the answer we get. Like it's like
you would think they'd want to know that because that's something you could measure and improve upon.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's just my experience. I mean, honestly, if you were to ask me right now, I mean, mine's a pretty easy answer. I'm like, well, I have one vacancy, I guess. That's it. Which isn't bad. I'll take it. Asking about tenant qualification requirements and how they screen their applicants, right?
That's important.
That's a good one. And honestly, that's the kind of answer where they're either going to give a good, solid, confident answer, or it will be like mush, right? Like, so for me, if you asked me that, I'm gonna be like, oh, well, it's pretty easy. I actually have this 18-point checklist that I run through for everybody, and it goes from everything from I'm asking about their credit, their income, to their tenant history, background check, that kind of stuff. But I'm also doing searches online to see what I can see because I've had situations where like it was this one guy, I remember I asked him if he smoked and he said no. Went on to Facebook and there were all these pictures of him smoking. I was like, dude, what the heck? And so there's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just got a checklist and it's like 1 point. And if they get, I think it's 16 points total, it's like, cool, we're going ahead. And I got a couple that are like, they're infinitely negative.
Yeah.
You know, where you're just like,
non-starters.
if you don't make 3 times the income, I don't care. I'm not renting to you.
Yeah.
So things like that. They should have that kind of answer for you, you know, whatever that is. Or be able to say, like, here's my screening criteria.
Yeah.
Take a look.
That's what I was thinking in my head is like they probably have some sort of documentation that they give to people when they apply. Say, here's the criteria.
You can ask them about what's their cost and time frame for an average apartment turn when they have a vacancy, which for me, it's kind of like, well, if it's a quick turn, it's like a week.
Yeah.
But if we're doing repairs and stuff, it can be longer. And you can ask about an interesting conversation to ask about in Oregon is about just like what's their rent increase policy? How do they go about it? What's their strategy? Because Oregon's kind of weird.
Yep.
And you just, again, a lot of these answers are going to be the same. It's not like they're like going to be ginormously different, but you're just trying to get a sense for where they're at.
Yeah.
So there's an interesting thing in Oregon. As a property manager, I just got a paper cut. Oh, man.
A live paper cut.
That hurt. It's okay. It's not bleeding yet. I was at I volunteer for Love Inc. and they had some boards out and there were signs all over them saying, "Do not rub your hands against this." Because I guess they were like metal edges. They were like, it will be like a 10 times worse paper cut than you've ever had in your life.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I was like, this is written not hypothetically. It's like someone knows.
Someone did this.
Oh, that's how it was like. And there was like the solution. I mean, there's like 4 of these boards and there must have been 20 of these stickies on it. Warning people.
Judge.
Man. It's okay. I'll survive. Anyways, in Oregon, property managers have to hold your money in a trust account. And, but there's different ways you can do that. Like you can have a totally separate trust account for an owner, or you can have them all grouped together. There's pluses and minuses. Honestly, as an owner, I don't think you ever know the difference. But you can ask, right? Hey, is this going to be a totally separate thing?
At the very least, your property manager should have an accounting of what you have in there.
Yes. Yes. You can ask other stuff, like if they provide full service accounting or not. Like, are they actually also going to pay your insurance and taxes for you? Pay your loans? Interesting questions. Who knows? I think my advice to homeowners has been, nah, you can take care of it. It's honestly, it's all on auto pay anyways, and just take care of it and have it like let operations be operations, and then this is other. Yeah. And I think it's okay.
Makes sense.
But either way, and then I think this is kind of maybe a later one, but like, do you have any advice or suggestions for how to separate ourselves from other investors in this market? And I mean, another one which I usually get ahead of time is like, what do you think they'll rent for? You know, and the person with the highest answer isn't necessarily the one you want. You know, but and I've like that's just like a couple questions.
Yeah.
Of all
You're
of them.
very thorough in the entire list.
I want to know all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I think this just points out to why it's important to not just go with that first person. Talk to 2 or 3. Even if that first person, like, they're amazing. Yeah, cool. Talk to 2 other people. Yeah. Just so you can hear other answers.
Comparison.
And actually talk to them, ask questions, walk in with kind of a plan for what you want to ask.
Sure.
I think it's just important to get a sense for where they're at, so that you don't, even though she's like, we talked to him for an hour.
Yeah.
And like, dude, he was like, that's a professional. I think had I not asked for the references piece, dude, I wouldn't have known. Like, I think
Right, because he said all the right things.
Yeah. That was the only thing that gave me my initial, oh, this is weird. I guess besides the property management software. But I was like, this is weird, which then sent me down this rabbit hole. And so in some ways I got lucky. So ask about that, right? Ask for, again, most property managers, they're not going to share with you their tenants, though. I'm going to try to be like, hey, can I use you as a reference in case someone asks? Right.
Well, and I don't know. Even if they aren't willing to share their tenants or their
Which I don't want tenants, I want
clients.
owners.
Yeah, other owners.
Investors.
You would think that at the very least they'd be willing to give you like a character reference or something.
Yeah.
It's not as helpful, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm totally going to give it all. But I call my wife. She thinks I'm great. And she has pretty high standards.
I'll be honest.
I mean, her definition of deep clean, dude, she's just intense.
Be honest, he doesn't deep clean things.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
But he's got a good relationship with cleaners, so it all works.
That's true.
That's all I do. I call up other people. I go, hey,
he will call and get it deep cleaned.
Dang. Yes, exactly. So anyways, I thought that was just kind of interesting. Just kind of a blast from the past. And this, like, man, it's kind of a...
strange.
Kind of crazy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel for her. That must just, like, to know, like, it's gone. I'm never getting that money. That's a lot of money, too.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I'm sure, like, they had dog-eared that money for doing new roofs and for road repairs and all sorts of stuff. And it's just,
I can't imagine.
Boom. Having to go back to your HOA and say, hey, everybody, we need you all to contribute like an extra $5,000 to make it up, which, again, insurance got them covered. Yeah. So there's that. Have insurance to cover you as well. But yeah, man, just kind of nuts. Crazy story. So yeah, if you are investing in that area and you want to just double check that who you're going with, the dude who you're going with, it's not the one guy I'm thinking of. Reach out to me. I'll let you know. But yeah, anyways, there you go. Craziness. That's where we're at. All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this and you learned something to ask questions if you're looking for a property manager. By the way, if you're in the Willamette Valley, give me a call. I'm happy to give you my thoughts on your investment and how I can best help you do that. And so you can check us out at furlough.com. And we've got a whole bunch of other options too. Like if you just want to straight up like give us your money to invest for you, so you don't have to worry about trying to hire a property manager. That's also an option. So yeah, with that, thanks for listening and have a great day.